Hi guys, it's Kay Comer in here with you, and I'm just coming to you tonight with these little mustard seed miracle envelopes. I just came up with this. I was wanting to do something with one mustard seed because of my own mustard seed miracle story, and I have several of them, but the very first one was huge, and my first mustard seed miracle. And I'll tell that story in just a minute, but I'm going to just go through this really quick and give you a glimpse of these. I have about 25 of them, I think. I've set a few aside just for me because I want to just put them around like in hospitals and, I don't even know where, maybe doctor's offices. Or last year there was the Kindness Rock program going through. And here's one of the Kindness Rocks. I got in the middle of that and I just painted thousands of these rocks. And people did different things with them. They didn't all look like this. I just made up my own design. Here's another one. Here's this Amazing Grace. But I literally had businesses calling me and asking me if I would bring some and put them in nursing homes, calling, wanting to know if I'd come and put them in their secret gardens and patios and things like that. They just had inspirational quotes on them. The ones that I put around the hospitals and doctors' offices said things like, "It won't rain always. All things are possible. Only believe. There is no such thing as hopeless." You know, just something to lift folks up. And I got so many messages on Facebook from, and they found me through 618 Rocks. You put your Facebook group on the back of the rock and your first name. And so that's how they were able to connect with me. But they would contact me privately then and message me and tell me what the rock had meant to them. And maybe they found it at the hospital and they was going up to the room of a loved one who maybe wasn't going to make it. And different people told me about giving the rocks to people in the hospital. And they found them on their way to the room and just different things like that. I love to do stuff like that. And I was so thrilled to get in the middle of that rock campaign, and I still do that. It's kind of died down this year, but I took them out at the Welcome Center, and I literally had a rock go all the way to Ireland. People would just pick them up and leave them someplace else, and I left them in the rock gardens at the Welcome Center on the edge of town, and dozens out there. But this one little rock, I'd painted a funny face on it, and I followed that rock. I kept getting messages that it was here and there, and oh gosh, all over the country. And then I got a message that it was in Ireland at some Four Rivers or Five Rivers Point or something park where four or five rivers come together in this little town in Ireland. And I was so thrilled that my little rock had made it so far. Well, now here we are off on another story. We're not even talking about rocks. We're talking about the mustard seed miracle stories. So, I wanted to do something with one mustard seed because of my own mustard seed story. So I'd been trying to think of something. It's been kind of a hard winter the last few weeks. It's been bitter cold, and we've spent a lot of time just sitting around the fireplace, watching TV, gabbing, and that's not the kind of thing we do very often. We're really workers. We have 5 acres, and we just pretty well work constantly. But it's been too cold to be outside and about for my husband, so while he's been in the house, I've just been kind of loafing around with him. So I was trying to come up with something to do with one little mustard seed, and I got to thinking about these little envelopes. I love the little envelopes that we put in our books, and I do, and some of you do too, and I got the idea from Jenny Miller. But so I made a little envelope and just started playing with it. I put the little quote on the front. I have a mustard seed and I'm not afraid to use it. I love that quote. I found that when I was making a book just a while back. This is the back. Each one has a heart on the back and the little quote on the front and a little bow and then a little piece of lace and a button. Some of them have a flower instead of a button up here. But they all have that quote on the front and a heart on the back. And it's sealed, so your little mustard seed is sealed in there. And what I'm going to do with mine is just kind of put them around in the hospitals and doctor's offices, and I don't know, I'll just leave one here and there every now and then. I left my first one today. I had to go run a few errands. We hadn't been out at the canyon in over a week, so I took a couple with me, took them by and gave to our daughter. She loved them, and I wanted her to have a couple to give away. And then I took a couple with me, and I left just one in one establishment. I won't say where, because there'll be local people seeing this too. But it's just going to be nice for somebody to walk up and see that, and maybe they're not having something's maybe not going just right. I don't know. I have a mustard seed, and I'm not afraid to use it. So that's what we're going to do. I've got about 25 extras here. I've kept a few for myself so I could do some things with them. And I posted to see what to put on them because I didn't know what to put on them. They do take, each one takes a little bit of time. And, you know, you can only do so much. So I was told that $5 was a fair price. And then people were saying, oh, yes, they'd gladly give $5 for one. And then I had some people messaging me saying, well, when you get ready to sell them, I'd like to have 4, I'd like to have 5, I'd like to have 6. And then I thought, well, now that many is not going to go in a plain old envelope like we'd send a letter in. So I'm going to have to add 50 cents on for the postage. So if I end up having to put several in a box, the postage is going to be covered one way or the other. So if I have to put them in a little box, that little box is going to be about $4. So we'll just go from there. But anyway, they're going to be on the link. They'll be on links below here. Go to my Facebook page, Junk Journals from Grandma with Love. Click to join the group if you want to. You can post to me privately on Facebook, Kay Comer on Facebook. You might also send me a friend's request to do that, so I'm sure to see your message. And if you want one, or if you want more than one, we'll just see how these do. I'm going to keep on making them because I love doing them. I like the idea of it. As I say, that is sealed. And the only way you can tell it's in there is to feel around. And on the back, you're going to feel that little bitty mustard seed is right there in that one. So, and here, most of you know the size of a mustard seed. I think that mustard seed scripture seems like it's Matthew 17:20 or something like that. I am the daughter of a Baptist preacher, but I'm not. I don't go packing a Bible and quoting scriptures and all that. I try to let my life tell the story, or, you know, how we should live or whatever. I don't, we won't even go there, but I don't go around quoting scriptures, and with my mind, I couldn't anyway if I wanted to. I knew all that stuff years ago, but I forgot a whole lot more than I ever knew. So they're going to be there. The link will be below if you want one or more than one. If you don't want any, that's fine. Because I have dreams of what I'm going to do with these little envelopes, so they're not going to go to waste. So that's it. One lady told me when I posted in one of our groups, one of our friends told me that she was so overwhelmed with this story when she first saw it, and she went on about her day, and she kept thinking of the little mustard seed envelopes, and sometime during the afternoon or whatever, she just reached in her pocket and pulled out a little mustard seed charm. And she said she didn't even know where that charm came from, and it was the oddest thing because she didn't ever remember seeing it before. And here it was in her pocket. So the mustard seed is performing miracles already. We haven't even got this going yet. The mustard seed is still, you know, there is no power in a mustard seed. What am I talking about? And you all know that. There is no power in a mustard seed. The power comes from the faith that you have down deep inside. And you know, that little scripture says, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. So I ask believing. I pray and ask believing. Like the little girl that came to the meeting, the town was in this horrible drought, and was a farming community, and they needed rain so bad, and so they called this community meeting, and everybody met in the park to pray for rain from all around the countryside there. And this little girl came down the aisle of where they had put out chairs and things, and she had an umbrella and had it opened, and she was holding it over her head, and the man up front said, "My goodness, girl, what are you doing? We are here to pray for rain. It isn't raining." And she said, "Well, if we're not expecting rain, why would we take the time to pray?" So that's the way I look at things. You know, we don't always get our way, but I do pray believing that I'm going to get an answer. Sometimes the answer is no, but you will get an answer. Okay, let's go quickly to my mustard seed story. My mustard seed miracle story. Back in 1962, I was in the home ec class in high school. I was a sophomore. a young teenage girl walked in and she had on a red sweater. I didn't think anything about it. I knew the girl. It was a pretty sweater. She went over and sat down in her seat, and in a few minutes, another little girl came in, a little teenage girl, and she saw the red sweater, and I mean, good grief, I saw my first cat fight. So it turns out the first little girl had just started going steady with this little boy, this teenage boy, and that red sweater had been given to him by the second girl that came in the room that day. And so they were fighting over this boy. And so I asked the girl that I was sitting beside, I said, who is it they're fighting about? And she said, Billy Comer. And I said, oh, I don't know who that is. She said, well, I'll show him to you the next time we pass him in the hall. So a couple of days later, we were walking down the hall. And she said, this is Billy Comer coming here. So I looked at him, and our eyes just met, and it was not love at first sight. He just walked right on by me like he was passing a tree. But it didn't happen that way for me. Something happened. I was so bashful and so backward back then. A preacher's kid, you know, I was raised about as strict as anybody could be raised. And I had already been told that we would not be dating in high school. We could only date after we graduated, and that was 2 years away from me. But something just happened when I saw him in the hall that day. I just felt a connection to him. I can't explain it. I couldn't explain it then. I can't explain it now. But, and I didn't even speak. I was so bashful, I wouldn't have spoke, probably if he had spoke to me first. But that Saturday, I went with Mom to JCPenney's, and I bought a mustard seed necklace. And I started wearing that mustard seed necklace 24/7, and I would pray. I'd hold on to that little round ball and with that mustard seed in it, and I would pray, and I would say, God, please give me Billy Comer. I don't care how long it's going to take you. You got 2 years for sure, because I can't date for 2 years. So surely to goodness, in 2 years you can pull this off. I would just pray over and over, oh God, please give me Billy Comer. So I didn't know what I was going to do with him when I got him, because I was a preacher's kid and I wasn't very worldly. And he was dating every pretty little girl in town, and I was really a wallflower, still am. But anyway, so I just kept praying 2.5 years. I was sitting on the porch in October 1967 in the porch swing. He pulled in, he walked up on the porch, we talked a minute, he asked me if I'd go to the movies the next night. And I said, yes, I would. I was so shocked. I mean, I was shaking like a leaf. I could not believe he had stopped, even though I'd been praying for this for 2 years. I had never talked to him in the meantime. I had never said hi to him. We had had no connection in this 2.5-year period. So I call that my mustard seed miracle. Why in the world, when he was dating every little pretty girl in town, would he stop and talk to a wallflower sitting in a porch swing? So that is my mustard seed miracle. I went in the house and I told Mom and Daddy, they were in the kitchen. I said, Billy Comer just stopped and asked me for a date, and we're going to the movies tomorrow night. And my daddy's mouth flew wide open. Now, he's the preacher. He's supposed to have a whole lot more faith than me, but he's the preacher. And his mouth flew open so wide you could have thrown a softball down his throat. But he was so shocked. And he said, oh, my, well, he's probably a really nice young man. He said, that's nice. He said, I know his dad really well. He runs the Harley motorcycle dealership downtown. And I said, what? He's a biker. All these years I've been talking about going on a date with him, and nobody told me he was a biker. I can't go with a biker. Daddy said, yes, you can. You made a date with him. You're going to go with him tomorrow night. He's probably a fine young man. What you do after tomorrow night is up to you, but tomorrow night you're keeping your date. So Billy went home and told his mom and dad that he had stopped and asked me out, and his dad said, oh, I know her mom and dad. Her dad is a Baptist preacher. And he said, what? Her dad is a Baptist preacher? Well, I'm not going to date a Baptist preacher's daughter, for crying out loud. He said, I'm going to call her and tell her I can't go. And his dad said, no, you're not. You made a date with that little girl, and you're going to keep it. What you do after tomorrow night is your own business, but you have a date with her tomorrow night, and you're going to be there. So he knocked on that door, on our door at 7 o'clock the next night, and I'm telling you, my goodness, it was not love at first sight, but we connected like you would not believe. And it's been like, what is it, 50-something years later, 55, 56, I don't even know. And we're still thick as mud. We have a super, super, super good relationship. It was meant to be. It was a God thing. It was a mustard seed miracle. My mustard seed miracle number 1. So I've been giving away mustard seeds in some way or form or fashion for ages. And now we've come up with these little envelopes. I have a mustard seed, and I am not afraid to use it. So a lot of people need this, and so we're going to have them available. So all the information will be down under. Just message me privately on Facebook, post on the Junk Journal from Grandma with Love Facebook group. You can post to me there. Let me know if you want one or if you want more than one, and we'll see where it goes. And when they're gone, I'll let you know, and I'll get going on some more because I want to keep these going myself, even if I don't sell one. This is just something I want to do. I love to do things like this, and I will do it. So, okay, that's it. I think that's it. I think we got everything. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching. I'm so sorry it's taking so long. I do have one big book going. It is a special order. I'll get it wrapped up as soon as I can. Surely to goodness, it's about to warm up, and we're about to get to a regular schedule. I have a couple of little mini books going. One is already sold. I'm going to let her pick out which one she wants. It's a local friend, and I'll let her pick out which one she wants, and then I will post the other one on our Facebook group. So that's it. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience, and I love you all.